Over the course of the semester, we've learned a great deal on how peace studies impact our present and future, and how they shape humanity. Today, I wanted to talk to you about how forgiveness specifically is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, key in achieving world peace. Think of a time in your life when someone has hurt you in one way or another. Have you ever considered forgiving them for those actions? Should you even think about it? Hearing all this off the bat might sound difficult, so I want to use this video to tell you how we could use the tool of forgiveness to create a better world not only for us, but for our children and theirs. Let's analyze what forgiveness really is and who's it for, the offender or the victim. According to UC Berkeley, psychologists generally define forgiveness as a conscious and deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment and or vengeance towards a person or group who has harmed you, regardless of whether they actually deserve your forgiveness. For some victims, the injury caused by another leaves them nearly incapable of forgiving, and certainly some forms of such abuse are atrocious. However, much work has been done recently to help us see that forgiveness is a way to heal, move on in our lives, and create a better world. But what is the first step towards forgiveness? According to author Fred Luskin, forgiveness is the ability to make peace with the word no. The centralized idea around this is the simple fact that I didn't get something I wanted. Examples are situations like, I wanted to be loved, instead I got no, or I wanted somebody to tell the truth, instead that person told a lie, so I got a no. The essence of forgiveness is the ability to be resilient when things don't go the way you want. He also states, I create a resentment because something is different than the picture I have of how something should be. In other words, we must be at peace with what it is. This isn't, however, that you have to accept the outcome of something simply because it is what it is and it sucks, but to be able to move on with such outcome and find positive ways to make it better for you. I think this means that if you want to change, the place to start is definitely within yourself. Over time, I've seen many people start to deny or simply ignore the fact that they hold resentment for someone. This is something we must avoid and change in order to truly forgive and move on. You must accept that you or someone else is hurt, why you are hurt, if there is a mutual solution, or should you find an agreement to go in separate ways. Again, be at peace with what is and find ways to make it better. Some very big examples I've thought about are situations like Japan forgiving and forging an incredible alliance with the United States after World War II. The town of Brookings, Oregon, forgiving Japanese pilot Nobuo Fujita for his bombings also during World War II. Fujita held a bombing raid and was actually invited after the war and returned with a 400-year-old samurai sword as a final goodwill symbol, which the town accepted and can still be appreciated even today. Or even something a little bit more grounded like Hillary Clinton forgiving her husband Bill after the scandal during his presidency that led to his impeachment. We can see how these decisions to forgive led to later events that built a better world, even if it was just for that specific person. Japan is now a superpower and one of the leaders in all kinds of innovative technology, and still a very strong ally of the United States. In just last election, Hillary Clinton was running for president with Bill at her side and had the chance to run the nation. Now, why should we practice forgiveness in our life? The next three are very important points on why we should all forgive. 1. Forgiveness makes you a happier human being. It is especially big to forgive someone close to you, as that can have an even bigger impact on your happiness. 2. Forgiveness improves our health. When we dwell on grudges, our blood pressure and heart rate spike, signs of stress which damage the body. When we forgive, however, our stress levels drop, and people who are more forgiving are protected from negative health effects of stress. Studies also suggest that holding grudges might compromise our immune system, making us less resistant to illness. And 3, forgiveness can help heal the wounds of war. A research-based forgiveness training program in Rwanda, for instance, was linked to reduced trauma and more positive attitudes between Hutus and Tutsis there. And a study of people who learned forgiveness skills in war-torn Sierra Leone found that they reported feeling less depressed, more grateful, more satisfied with life, and less stressed afterwards. According to experts like John Enright and Fred Luskin, forgiveness is both a choice and a trainable skill that anyone can learn. In fact, research has shown that the capacity for forgiveness is an intrinsic part of human nature. I wanted to tell you a few ways we could cultivate forgiveness in our life, according to research found and published by UC Berkeley. First, we must view forgiveness as something for you and not a gift to someone else. Fred Luskin emphasizes that forgiveness is best seen as something that will bring you peace, closure, and reduce your suffering. Second, something I've seen many people do is bottle their feelings inside. We know that this is both unhealthy and unproductive. As I stated earlier in this video, be willing to express exactly how you feel to both yourself and others. One of the hardest ones to apply is to look for the silver linings in the midst of your pain. However, research has shown that it is easier to forgive someone after analyzing your own personal gains from the unpleasant situation. Seek peace, not justice. In his forgiveness program, Robert Enright emphasizes that forgiveness is separate from justice. The people who hurt you may never get their just desserts, but that shouldn't prevent you from moving on with your life. The biggest one for me on this one is raise forgiving kids. It all starts inside the home and at the very early stages of your life. Parents can help kids learn forgiveness by modeling it themselves and allowing kids to move through the process of forgiveness at their own pace. So now you know the first steps towards forgiveness, you know how to practice it, and you know how to cultivate it. Now I wanted to talk to you about the main two barriers placed in front of you that are preventing you from forgiving or asking for forgiveness. How do we overcome such barriers? According to psychotherapist Linda Graham, one of the first barriers we encounter is unreadiness. This can be defined as an inner state of unresolved emotional turmoil that can delay or derail forgiveness. This is exactly when someone keeps contemplating the wrongs they've done or the wrongs someone has done to them. The person will be stuck in a victim loop and will be unable to shift their perspective to a larger view to find the meaning, purpose, lessons, and the possibilities for change from these events. The second barrier is self-protection. This is the fear that forgiveness will backfire and leave the person offering forgiveness vulnerable to further harm, aggression, violation of boundaries, exploitation, or abuse. This is very understandable, given people sometimes have understandable fears that offering forgiveness will be misinterpreted by the offender as evidence that they can get away with the same behavior again. People very often need to learn that they have the right to set and enforce legitimate boundaries in a relationship. Forgiveness can also involve not being in a relationship with the offender any longer or changing the rules and power dynamics for continuing the relationship. My conclusion is that the power of forgiveness is not to be underestimated. It can heal anything from a personal relationship to political relations between two countries or enemies, and most importantly, it can heal you. Forgiving will keep you from the worst results like high blood pressure or even arthritis. Ask yourself, what will be of this world without forgiveness? I think forgiveness will be an even bigger factor in the coming years due to how I've seen the younger generations handle themselves against offense or simple turbulence. This, by any means, is not to bash anyone here born in the 2000s, but younger generations do tend to get offended more easily, and I've seen an incredible lack of forgiveness and compassion from them. But why do I say this will be important? Well, no one knows what the future really holds, but times now are very uncertain, and soon the world will begin to spin again. Once that day comes, we must be ready, and there must be a lot of compassion and forgiveness for your fellow human being, as it will be the only way to build this world better than before. I really hope this video was able to give you a much better understanding of what forgiveness really is, how we could achieve it, and how we could keep it in our lives forever. Remember to always be kind and thoughtful of others before making decisions. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.